Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Two more NBA games here in the playoffs on Monday night. In this one, going over the second game of the night, we've got the Rockets and the Dubs. Also have another episode up for the first game of the night. The Heat and the Cavs going to be going in game 4 as well. Definitely make sure to subscribe to that channel, bringing you these episodes for every single game that I can get to. Wasn't able to get to anything over the weekend. Apologies, because I really wanted to. Just my life is a little bit in flux as we just moved into a new spot, which I'm grateful for, but it has come with beyond too many problems to deal with. So that's really cut into my ability to get into this stuff over the weekend, but we are back. We are ready for Monday. So hopefully you guys are going to be getting something out of this with me. I got a little discount for you guys if you want to get into the VIP to make sure that you're not missing any of the plays, even when I can't get these episodes up. So if that all sounds good, give this video a like. Let's get right into it. Like I said, don't have the final updates here yet from Sunday, but a win is going to be a win on the day as a whole. So definitely still want to get you guys a little code if you're interested. Davion, because we got to get Davion Mitchell involved in this somehow. Davion Mitchell code is the code that gets you 50% off your first month in the VIP. So definitely recommend using that if you want to keep going with us here. Feeling really good about where we're at in the playoffs as a whole and going to keep it rolling. Also, plenty of baseball stuff in there. Specifically Hannah Not Hannah and Buddy Irons crushing right now in the majors. So hopefully you guys can check out their stuff as well. Here's what we've got for some notes for game 4. Jimmy's questionable. So we got to start with that. Obviously, it seems likely that he's going to actually play, though. I mean, that's what we get coming out of the Golden State sort of locker room. But what I will say is right now he's likely to play is how I'm reading it. The thing that can happen here is there could be inflammation or swelling that comes up from now until tip. That could change things for Jimmy. So I think he's legit Q, but if everything stays the same as right now, I think he's likely to play in this one. We'll talk about how that affects things, obviously, in a massive, massive way with how important he is to this, but mostly in the lineups and the matchups. Things change because Jimmy can do everything, right? A little bit of everything, and he's really important to the rebounding as much as anything for them. So that's why they need to get a little bit bigger if they don't have him in. You saw Kuminga start in game 4, but he only played 16 minutes. So I don't know if Kerr actually thought he might get more from Kuminga, and then he just didn't like what he saw out there, or if that was always the plan. But I would imagine that if Jimmy's out, and we'll talk about the lineups here in a minute. Quentin Post started. Again, we'll talk about that here, but he guarded Amin, and he had 12 boards, did Quentin Post in this one. If we see Jimmy out again, I'm imagining that we're going to see a similar look here from Quentin Post with how well he defended Amin and how good he was on the boards for this team. Really wasn't making much, couldn't do much on offense. So it's not like he's out there to spread he does spread the floor, but really the reason I would be banking on some minutes for him without Jimmy is the rebounding and the ability to guard Amin Thompson. And we might even see more Quentin Post regardless of whether Jimmy plays or not because of how well he played in game 3. Getting into the matchups here, we're starting with the Rockets on offense. And you can see here I've got Moody on Van Vliet. This is all assuming Jimmy plays right now in terms of the defense that we have lined up against the Rockets for the Dubs. Moody's got the asterisk next to him as he's probably going to be guarding Fred Van Vliet. That's what we've seen when this has been the starting lineup. But the thing about Moody is, I mean, like I said, Quentin Post played so well in this last game. There's a world where he actually starts still and Moody comes out, and then you just put Quentin Post in there, no Jonathan Kuminga, and you still feel really good about that stuff. So we'll have to wait for the lineups, but obviously Jimmy impacts all of this. Pods on Green, they guard each other kind of regardless, right? No matter what happens with Jimmy, we're going to see Pods and Green go a mano. And then Curry and will be on Dylan Brooks again. Brooks had a pretty good offensive game in game 3 and then got 6 fouls, only played 27 minutes. But he is a pretty good matchup against Curry. Too big and likes to shoot and doesn't worry about whether Curry's getting a hand up in his face or not. So Jimmy would probably be back right on Amin Thompson, and then Draymond and Şengün match up when this is the case. So let's look at the Warriors on offense, but this is where I'll show you how the lineups might change with Jimmy in or out. So starting with Jimmy in, it's probably just going to be what we've seen: Curry, Pods, Moody, Butler, and Green. And then they'll line up this way. But interestingly, so I've got Thompson on Curry. But what's interesting is that in the game when we just saw Butler out, right, in game 3, Van Vliet was on Steph like the whole game. I'll talk about that here when I show you what the lineups might look like without Jimmy again. But I will say that Van Vliet did not a great job. So I'm not sure if they would maintain that. Obviously, Steph went off for the 36. But if we have Jimmy out there, it'll be the normal stuff here that I've got listed all the way down. Brooks most likely on Butler, Amin still on Curry, and then Şengün and Green going at it. But here's what happens if Jimmy does not play tomorrow. Now we're talking about Curry, Pods, and then Kuminga, Draymond at the 4, and Quentin Post at the 5. And this is how they lined up on defense for the Rockets. Like I said, Van Vliet guarded Curry in this instance. Jalen and Pod still go at it, Jalen Green. And then Brooks was on Kuminga. He was kind of floating. I mean, he was leading Kuminga, so he was playing more free safety in these situations and then fouling whenever guys came over. But he would go to help on defense. He probably ended up fouling. That's how he got 6 of them in just 27 minutes. And Şengün did stick with Draymond, though, and just guarded him regardless. And Amin on post. Like I said, they kind of went back and forth. Amin also playing a little bit off post, and post wasn't hitting any shots. But it's a big change. As you can see, it's not just that, Kuminga comes in for Jimmy Butler. They also start Quentin Post instead of Moses Moody to keep that height in there. As always, going to be using Props Madness here as we dive into these player props, the #1 sports betting research tool for all things hoops and props. Definitely use code LYB if you're going to jump in. You get 7 free days, so you can trial it out, see if you like it. You'll also get 25% off on your first month when you do decide to use Props Madness, which I'm assuming a lot of you will after you continue to see how well it works, how much of a time saver it is, right? And how well it kind of is efficient for you to find that value. But the guy I'm starting here with for the Dubs as we dive into these props is going to be Draymond. I've got to be looking at an under for him. The thing that's going to be key here is I'm waiting for Jimmy, right? If Jimmy is out there, I do imagine that this number goes down a little bit. If Jimmy is not out there, then this number might go up, right? I think right now this is listed sort of where this would be if Jimmy plays this 20 and a half, 19 and a half. Some places it's 20, but I'm going under for Draymond. I mean, a lot of it has to do with the history against this team, but it's also just a horrible, horrible matchup for him. I mean, they are leaving him open to shoot some threes. You can see in this last game without Jimmy, he had 20 rebound chances, 5 potential assists, though, not very much, right? And his assists still stay high. He's really tough for him to dime up against this team in this series as a whole right now and on the season in terms of the assists. This is really one of the better unders for him, specifically why I like it so much is going under, but they do have it pretty low right now. It would have to go up to 5.5 for me to want to take that by itself. Either way, he really hasn't even hit 5 other than one game here. This was back in February, was with Jimmy as well, right before the All-Star break. So, for Draymond, though, like when he's going up against Şengün in general, this is just tough sledding, man. I mean, as far as the rebounds go, Şengün, very, very good rebounder. We know it's tough for him. He's got to close out on Şengün, which really means that if Şengün takes the shot, that Draymond's usually out of position to go ahead and get the board as well. So love the under for him. Unless he just goes on a spree hitting shots, then we're going to be in a great spot. You can see this is last year's stats versus them. The points you can see are the thing that scare me the most against them. But again, unless he just sort of goes out of the norm for himself and is making a lot more shots when Jimmy's out there, he's at about 8.5 points per 36 minutes. So let's see what happens with Jimmy before we try to get anything down on Draymond, because this will move if Jimmy is listed out. I think that would be an unexpected play for the books if Jimmy doesn't play, and then we might see Draymond stuff go up, and I'm still down to take an under even if Jimmy is out. So how about a little under green parlay, green under parlay, just both greens going under on PRA specifically. I love Jalen Green under on the PRA as a whole here. It's 26.5. The points are fluctuating between 17.5 and 18.5. Right now they opened at 18.5. Now we've got a couple places with 17 listed. I think this will stick around 18. We saw from him in game 2 right here, that 38-point explosion. I think that'll help us keep this from going too low, because I love the under, right? And I like adding the assists and rebounds, even though in the last 2 games he's looked good doing both, or in 2 or 3 games at least, he's looked good at least on rebounds and or assists, right? The rebounds and assists actually aren't my favorite part of the bet, but my thing here is in the event that he does go over on the points, I don't think he's going to have efficient shooting night, right? He's had one game in this season head-to-head against this team, and it was in this last game where he wasn't awful from the field, right? 52% total. Even in the game earlier this year in April where he went over, still only shot like 47% from the field, and 43% from 3 was the reason that he really got here on the points in this game, where the Dubs, they lost by 10 to Golden State, and Jalen Green had a good game for him. But PRA-wise, against this team, forever and always, like, this is just a big struggle. They bring on Gary Payton to guard him specifically to limit his shots. Really, really good on-ball defender, as we know, who can jump and get up in the way of Jalen Green's shots, get a hand up. And then if you look at the rebounds and assists, like I said, the reason I like adding them is I don't think he's going to be efficient if he does score. So if he is scoring and he does go over on the points, and I took that by itself, I'd be annoyed, because if he goes over on the points, I don't think he goes over on the rebounds and assists. Think about if he is going another, let's see what's a recent game here, 5 for 15 from the field. That means 10 of these times down the field, he missed his shots, which also means he wasn't in position to get a rebound on offense. He wasn't in position to get an assist because he took the shot, but he missed it because that's what he's doing, is being very, very inefficient with the field goals. So that's my main thing with Jalen, is he's not going to have the opportunity to do all three of these things very well. And if we do get a more normal game with a guy like Jimmy out there, then this thing's going to be really, really slow. And I'd be careful in general taking unders in this series, as we've seen neither of these teams reach 100 multiple times already. So we got to go over somewhere, and I'm going to Steven Adams. I think the points are probably okay. Obviously, when you have a center who's not taking threes, only ever taking twos, you don't love to need him to get 5, because if he goes 2 for 4 from the field, you're going to be pretty pissed, which is something that he does pretty frequently, right? The thing I like more than that is boards, because we can now really assume, if we look at him in this series, right, these last 3 games, he's played 20, 17, and 18 minutes. So we can really reasonably depend on Steven Adams playing about 18 minutes in this game against the Dubs. Other games, same thing, 17 minutes, 18 minutes. And then in this one right here in February, he only played the 6 for whatever reason. But for everywhere else, it's 17 to 20 minutes. So in the games that he's played 16 to 20 minutes, is 5.5 rebounds a pretty fair number for him to get, especially in a good matchup where he's going up against an undersized team like the Dubs and is able to get his. So let's look at his minutes here, and let's just take them, not head to head, but let's just say we give him 16 to 20 minutes, which is basically the range that he's played since we started these playoffs, right? I'm going to put this down at 20, not 22. And if we look at that, we're still talking about 7 boards a game in these situations, looking at over an 11 of 14. And a couple of these came against the Dubs, right? Yeah, over here, 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5 versus the Dubs when he's had this amount of minutes. If you look at the rebound chances, even though it's just, like I said, just about 18 minutes per game that he's playing, he's at about 12 rebound chances. If you're giving him 12 rebound chances, I'm for sure going to take him to get half of them against this Dubs team, which continues to give up rebounds to centers. Like, they've become a lot better since they got Jimmy there, but they're still in the bottom 10 in terms of limiting center rebounds specifically, not the points, just the boards. So when he comes out there for his 18 minutes or so, love him at about 12 rebound chances, which means I do like him to get 6. I don't really feel comfortable making any more bets on the Dubs right now, Steph or anybody included. Jimmy's just too important. But I will say, keep an eye on Quentin Post props, regardless of if Jimmy is in or out. I think we might see some more Quentin Post than we saw in this last game. He's been awesome when he's been on the floor. I will, for the most part, especially in the rebounding, right? That was what they needed from him in game 3, and that's what he brought with a vengeance. It was one of the biggest things that helped them out. Limited Amin on the boards, limiting Amin on the offensive boards, which is the most important place to limit Amin Thompson when you're talking about the glass and rebounding. So I do feel really good that he's earned himself about 20 minutes in this game, maybe 17 to 20. I think we're going to be in a good spot to be able to bet some overs on him. Let's see what those props come out at, though. Obviously, I'll be sharing that stuff with the VIP. All right, appreciate y'all bearing with me. Remember, if you do want to jump into the VIP so you don't miss any of these plays that I'm making, even when I can't get an episode up, use code Davion, as in Davion Mitchell, as in my guy, 50% off for the first month in the VIP if you do use that code. So hope to see y'all in there. Until I see you next, happy betting.